Hi everybody, my name is Alan Biermacher with Digital Drafting Systems. Welcome to our webinar today on the Project Explorer in Civil 3D. I'm going to have our presenter Seth kick us along here. So some important announcements before I bring Seth out here. All attendee lines will be muted. Send us your questions via the chat box, and this webcast will be recorded and that will be sent out to you after the cast. Any questions, please feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email at info@ddscad.com. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Seth, our Civil 3D technical specialist and trainer, to take it away. Go ahead, Seth.
All right. Thanks, Alan. All right, welcome everybody. So you may or may not have heard about this new thing called Project Explorer. That was basically, it wasn't purchased, but basically there's a company out there called 3M Solutions, I think was the name of it, and they basically acquired kind of the rights to basically incorporate it into Civil 3D or into the collection. So the first thing I want to talk about is how do you get it? How do you install it? Where is it in Civil 3D? I always get that kind of question asked. How do I find it? And then we'll talk about the interface, interacting with Project Explorer, interacting with Project Explorer in Civil 3D, something called object sets. We'll talk about reporting, AutoCAD tables, and of course we'll answer any questions. So without further ado, I'm not going to spend any more time in PowerPoint. So let's just kind of get rid of that. So the first thing I want to show you is basically how do you actually get it and how does it actually work? Because that's actually one of the things that I think a lot of people actually don't really understand. There's not much documentation, honestly. I think it's a little bit lacking on Autodesk side. But the first thing you want to do is you have to log into your account. All right, and I'll just go ahead and do that here real quick. And the one thing you have to know about this, so with Project Explorer, it does not come with regular Civil 3D. So if you have just Civil 3D out of the box, or if you have, if you have Civil 3D standalone, or if you have any old licenses that are standalone or networked or whatever, you do not have access to Project Explorer. That's the key thing to remember as well. It only comes with the AEC collection. And so when you log in, you'll notice that first you might want to kind of look for it here and you say, okay, where's Project Explorer? I can't find it. So what you have to do, again, it comes with the AEC collection. So if you look over here in the AEC collection, there's a View Items button. So you click on this View Items button here. And once this populates, you'll see these are basically all the softwares. You guys are probably familiar with the AEC collection. You get AutoCAD, you get 3D Studio Max, AutoCAD Electrical. You get basically pretty much all the kind of civil related software, okay? And of course you get Revit and so on. But if you look down here, you'll see here's Civil 3D Project Explorer, okay? So you have to download this totally separately. Now initially a lot of people think, well, hey, I'm on 2020, can I do it? And the answer is yes. It doesn't show you 2020, but if you click on View Downloads and you download it, the actual download's called Project Explorer 2020-2021. So it works in either 2020 or 2021, okay? Now, the one thing you do have to be aware of as far as licensing goes, if you have AEC collection through subscription, you're good to go. It doesn't matter, you're fine. But if you still have AEC collection and you have standalone, and let's say you're using network licensing at your company, you are going to need a new license file. You will have to get a new license file, even if, again, if you're in 2020 and 2021. It will not actually, you will not have access to it. Even if you log in with your serial number, that doesn't work. You actually have to change your license file. You have to get a new one, okay? The other thing to mention too, if you do have a company that's a combination of standalone and let's say network licenses and so on, if a user is just standalone, but let's say they access, they want to access this functionality, it'll prompt them. I can't replicate it here. I'm just going to mention it. It'll prompt them to either enter the standalone serial number or basically you do a server. And if you do the server, that's fine. What it does is it actually will take an AEC collection license. So just be aware of that. I'm not saying you shouldn't allow them to have it or you shouldn't use it, but just be aware it is going to take the license as well. So they'll basically be using two licenses of Civil 3D and the AEC collection, okay? So all they have to do though is once you close it out, and I've tested this, if you close out the dialog box that is Project Explorer, it does return the license. So that's a nice feature at least. So again, they can leverage it. I'll be honest with you, I leave it open all day long. So you want to, if they're stealing a license of Project Explorer, you may want to think about upgrading them to a license, a full-blown license of the AEC collection. So again, I wanted to just mention that because that's a key thing. A lot of people don't realize how to download it, how to install it, etc. So once you install it, and you give it the licensing, where does it live? So a lot of people are always asking me that too, is where the heck is it? And it's hidden. I want to say hidden because it should be a little more, in my opinion, intuitive, but it's hidden under add-ins. So if you go to the add-ins tab right up here in the ribbon, you'll see this Launch Project Explorer button. Okay. Now, immediately what I do, because I don't go to the add-ins tab like ever. In fact, I sometimes just turn it off because I don't use it. I just, again, I always say when in doubt regarding the interface, right click. So if you right click on here, you can add it to your quick access toolbar. And as you can see, I have mine right up here. And this will, of course, now launch Project Explorer. Okay. So you can then go to whatever. You'll notice the one thing about Project Explorer, okay, let me kind of resize it so I can demo it. It is a pretty big dialog box, and I'll do my best to kind of show you Project Explorer interacting with the drawing and so on. But of course, as we all do, we probably all have either 2 or 3 monitors. I'd recommend you put this in one and just leave it there because you're going to use it all the time. It's a really, I love, as the presentation kind of insinuated, this is the best thing since Civil 3D. It really is a great feature. Again, it used to cost money if you wanted to buy it, but now it's incorporated into the license of the AC collection. So, this is the dialog box. What's great about it, if you've never seen it, it's a non-modal dialog box. So I can actually do whatever I want in the drawing. I can, select something. I can, go to its properties. Let's say I select this manhole here. I can pick it and then right-click properties. Right, you see, I'm doing whatever interaction I want to do with the with Civil 3D, but it's a non-modal dialog box. And what's also kind of nice is it actually does kind of like recognize if you hover over this, it will go into this. And the second you kind of click on this, it does take over. So it does a really good job of it. But again, it's best used on a whole nother monitor, and you just kind of leave it open, okay? And I'll say this too. I'm in a pretty good and complicated drawing. I've got a quarter model with intersection design, 2 alignments, profiles, grading. I have a pond. I've got pipe network. You name it, and I've got a lot of stuff here, and it does a really good job of not slowing down the drawing. This thing updates really fast, and it doesn't crash. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't have to say that, but as we all know, sometimes Civil 3D can crash. It does a really good job, and it's very stable. I have to say, I'm very impressed with the way that it works and the way it interacts, okay? So it's a really good kind of feature. All right, so let's talk about the interface a little bit so you guys get a nice flavor for it, okay? So basically, again, Project Explorer, non-modal dialog box, okay? You have this kind of viewing area of whatever it is that you select. But if you look up top here, these are all the different object types that you can select that Project Explorer supports. It doesn't support everything, but it supports the stuff that you kind of really want it to support. Parcels isn't in there. That's fine. It's not a huge deal. There's not many things like, survey related type stuff. But again, it does a pretty good job. I mean, there are AutoCAD points in here, and you can see those right over here. But basically, for the most part, it's just mostly kind of civil, engineering kind of related stuff. So you have alignments here, which does include profiles. If I were to go ahead and pick on this one here, you'll see immediately it goes to a profile view, and it shows you the alignment stuff down here, okay? You also then have assemblies. So if you have different assemblies in here, you can basically pick on the different assemblies and notice how it will update automatically in the view above here. And of course, you can see down below what it actually has. Sub-assemblies are associated to it. Of course, you have the quarter model, and then you have point groups. I don't really have any in here. Then we have surfaces, which you're not going to use this one too much, but it's kind of nice to have here. There's no preview because it would probably take, I guess, a lot to preview it. I don't know, but that's just how this interacts with it. Then you have feature lines. This is one of the best features, or one of additions to Project Explorer. I'll demonstrate that in a bit. And then actually, I take that back. It does have sites and parcels. You can tell how much I've used it. It does have parcels. I take that back. It does. All right. I don't have any parcels in the drawing here. One of the best features it has here is pipe networks. This is fantastic. You'll see here it does a really good job with this. And then it has sample line groups for cross section type stuff. Then you have blocks, AutoCAD blocks actually. Then you have this other tab here called object sets. Okay, so object sets is a really great feature, which we'll obviously delve into as well. Okay, now I'm not going to get into great detail about this, but just so you know, this interface is completely customizable. If you look at the bottom here, you'll see it has interface type preferences. So you can go to this general tab to kind of for general category. Then for each of the subcategories, you can change what the view will look like, basically. Okay. Again, it's not a huge deal. You can change a lot of stuff here if you want to. The biggest thing I found that I change is, you know, I'm a little colorblind, so I will change the color of some of these things in here because it just makes it easier for me to see them, and so on. You can save them, so you could have multiple preferences if you really wanted to have multiple settings for this, but for the most part, you're probably not going to really deal with that too much, okay? The layout, you can actually go in here and actually organize what you want to see in each of the different categories. And this is actually pretty nice because if you're never dealing with a specific kind of column that you never want to see, like let's say with alignments, you don't care about the offset or the design check set. Let's say I don't care about that. You can just toggle this off. And then basically you can also, again, what I like about the functionality is you can save any of these and reload them if you need to, okay? Again, that's for all the different object types here. And of course, they will have a general one here as far as, you know, what decimal places you want, how you want to see your bearings displayed, use degrees, minutes, seconds, that type of stuff, okay? All right, so that's kind of here. And of course, there's this reset button, which is actually nice. If you mess something up, you just hit reset and restore the whole thing to default, okay? So that's basically how you can kind of reset it all. All right, so how do you interact between the Project Explorer and the drawing, okay? Again, as you'll see here, you click on the category you want, and then when you click on it up here, it will actually update in here. So if I click on this, which is my curb return northeast, it updates automatically, and I can kind of see it in here. So one of the things that you, of course, would want to do is you want to interact with the drawing, right? You go to a certain location here, and you want to actually kind of see it in here. So like I said, when in doubt, right-click. So if you right-click in the different parts of Project Explorer, you will get different kind of functionality. So if I right click up here, I can zoom to the profile extents right here, and that will basically, whoops, let's do that again. It basically zooms to here. That's what it's affecting this in here, okay? You can, of course, pan to profile center, et cetera. So as I'm, you know, panning around, I'm just middle buttoning here. That does it over there. Now, if you right click, of course, in here, you'll get basically a bunch of other options in here. Of course, you can, you know, change the alignment style. Just like basically, it's the same thing as the tool space in a way in some respects, but it's like the one-stop shop for everything. It's much kind of faster, I'll be honest with you. You can zoom to it here. So if I want to zoom to the alignment, it zooms right to the alignment. And of course, if you wanted to select it, you can select in the AutoCAD viewport. And notice how now it's selected, right? So again, you can kind of see it automatically kind of, you know, doing those kinds of, just like you have in the tool space, but it's all kind of right here, and it's fairly fast, okay? Now, to take it a little like more granular, what's really nice about this is you'll notice that when you select the object up here, you have this additional kind of option here, okay? Or kind of listing of what is contained, like the sub components, or every 10 feet. You can see it's listing every 10 feet what's going on. Now, as I click through here, you'll notice what it's actually doing in the plan view up here. It's actually updating, which again is really nice. It's just showing you where you are every 10-foot increment, okay? And of course, you can adjust that. Right now, it's showing you the interval right here. If I do 100, you know, now it goes to every 100 feet, right? So again, it's just a really nice little feature showing you back and forth. You know, I don't have to go over here, have two viewports open, you know, zoom to my viewport here, you know, and again, just to, you know, if you're not familiar with this in Civil 3D, you can actually do the same thing very similarly. I'll just kind of, this is a Civil 3D kind of tip. If you go to all viewports here, when I click over here, notice how it actually updates in there. I kind of like that feature too, so I usually will leave that on. All right, and of course, if I go over here, it does update in that view. So it's a very similar kind of functionality, except here, I just click and I don't have to even worry about having two viewports, okay? That's basically what makes it a little bit nicer, okay? Now, what you can also do is go to this alignment entity. Again, you know, feel free as you use this, kind of take like a good 10, 20 minutes, just get used to the interface, because there's a lot of really cool features about it that you'll kind of really enjoy. If I go ahead and select this here, I can actually kind of see exactly where it is. And, you know, this is the actual entity. So like the line, the curve, another line, a curve, a line, et cetera, just like an alignment would have. Now, here's the other really cool feature of Project Explorer, okay? It's like hidden, but it's a really fantastic feature. If you press the control key on the keyboard, you got to make sure it's highlighted here. So if I click on this, you make sure you see that boldness. If I click the control key, notice how it highlights. If I hold it down, it kind of bolds. This is a phenomenal function. I absolutely love this now, because if you're going through, now in this instance, it may not be the best, but when I'm going through and doing like my pipe network, or if I'm doing my corridor model, or if I'm doing feature lines and I want to see where I am in the drawing, it's really fantastic because it really allows you to basically highlight in the drawing, the different part that you're at, okay? And in here, let's say I want to zoom to this arc because let's say I have to change it, you can simply right click here, zoom alignment entity in the AutoCAD viewport, and it automatically zooms to that location. All right, again, I got a pretty simple kind of alignment here, but once you get like complex alignments and things like that, it makes it much easier, especially those long roads, like 5-mile roads. You want to know where you are, you simply right click here and you can kind of see it, or you can basically zoom to it in the drawing. Okay, so it's a really nice interaction, and that's a common theme for everything within the Project Explorer interface. Okay, that's just that control key and interacting into like subcomponents of the actual main object type, whether it's a pipe network, an alignment, a profile, etc. Okay. If I pick over here and if I pick the layout profile entities, right? So if I look over here and click on this, now, of course, if I right click here, I can do the same exact thing. So now I'm zoomed into that location within the alignment. And if I click over here, this should zoom to the profile PBI within that alignment as well, okay? I do wish it would do the profile view itself, but that's, again, if you ever heard about, the idea station, if you look on Autodesk website, the forums website, they have these idea stations. Project Explorer is now part of that. You can go in there and kind of add, some functionality that you might want to add to that, okay? So again, it's a really nice, just functionality, that right clicking in different parts of the actual object type and so on, okay? All right, so that's alignments. The other thing too that you'll see up here, what's really nice is, now it's not very useful here where I am, but there's this compare to option. All right, so this compare to option allows you to compare different aspects or different design objects. So right now, if I wanted to see the top surface, you see how it highlights that. Now, of course, that's my profile view. It's not really my profile. That's not really a big deal. But let's say I want to see it as it relates to a feature line or something like that. Okay, again, I haven't talked about feature lines yet, but I will in a little more detail. So this feature line, where is this feature line? I don't know where it is. Again, all I have to do is if I click here and then tap the control key, A, it shows it to me in the drawing, and B, I can right click here, and this is not in the tool space. In the tool space, if you're familiar with feature lines, you can actually see your feature lines. However, I think I put these both in here, which I don't need to, but you can right click, but you cannot, and select it, but you can't zoom to it. Okay, so over here, you can actually right click and zoom to it in the AutoCAD viewport, and now it brings your viewport right there. Okay, so what's nice about this compare to functionality, let's say for whatever reason, I want to see a station offset value from the alignment, this alignment here to this feature line at specific points. That is actually a nice thing to be able to do, especially if you're doing proposed design, whether it's ponds, berms, or a retaining wall, or whatever you happen to be designing, okay? So what I can do is I can first click over here, and if I hold that control key down, you'll notice it actually shows me in the drawing. Just so you know, you can do more than one. So if I hold the shift key down to select more, control key, right? I can also hold the control key down and deselect different points. So now I unselected those points, right? That's a nice option as well. But here's the compare option that's really, really nice. If I want to compare this to anything in here, first, if I were to pick a surface, you'll notice that I can see it. This is fantastic functionality when you're doing site design. Sometimes you want to see a corridor model as it relates to your feature line, or a top surface of something else as it relates to your feature line, or a berm or whatever. So you can actually, toggle between the different ones here. As long as they exist, that pond is nowhere near me, so it doesn't exist there. But if I go to the FG here, or my top, you'll notice there's my top surface, right? So if I want to make sure that was over here, now I have to kind of make sure I insert a elevation point or do something, and I'd make sure I want to kind of put that there, whatever I want to do, or whatever I have to do, okay? So that's basically a nice little kind of feature. But here, if I do the alignment, let's say I pick, this is 2nd Street, and I'll pick the 2nd Street alignment. I'll just pick that over here, 2nd Street right there. Okay, now if I were to click inside here, so a little trick here, if you middle click, it activates, I'm just middle clicking, okay? It activates that specific area of Project Explorer. Now, when I press the control key down and hold it down, you'll see exactly the offset to that alignment. All right, that's a fantastic. I love that functionality. Again, if you lose focus, not a big deal. Let's say I'm in here now. If I want to go back in here, I just middle click and hold the control key down, and it shows me that. If I want to see it as it relates to, let's say I have an offset alignment here, 2nd Street, 12 feet, we'll just pick that one. Now, middle click, it's doing that one instead, right? That's my edge of travel way, basically, or edge of pavement, okay? So again, I love that functionality. It's just a really great functionality here, okay? So again, that's one of the things with that control key. Just play around with it. You know, if I pick it over here, notice how it highlights the whole thing, right? That's the whole kind of idea. So as you're interacting between Project Explorer and the drawing, that is how you interact. Is basically you just simply control pick or control click, and then it automatically basically highlights in the drawing, okay? Now, I will mention this. I do a lot of work as well in the f.state kit. There is a bug with the f.state kit files, and I think I've narrowed it down to the profile. I've already contacted Autodesk. They're looking into it. So it'll probably be fixed in the next version. I didn't test it out in 2021. In 2020, was basically the control functionality was intermittent. It would sometimes work and sometimes not work. So just be aware of that. If you do use the f.state kit, there's a little bit of a bug with that, or a little bit of an issue with it, okay? All right, so let's just kind of continue down the line here, going over the different object types. Again, not much to do with assemblies, but it's kind of nice. If you wanted to zoom to this, you could actually, I would pick it over here, right click, and then I can do zoom to AutoCAD Viewport. Yes, you can do it in the tool space, but again, this is the one-stop shop for doing anything as it relates to kind of Civil 3D objects, instead of having to kind of find it, through here, expand it, and all that good stuff. It's a little bit easier. Again, it's not that much difficult. If you want to change the properties, same exact thing here. I can go into here and go to assembly properties, and it's all done. You're basically back to the regular kind of out of the box Civil 3D kind of assembly properties dialog box. But again, it's a one-stop shop for all that. It's like tool space kind of on steroids, you could say almost. All right. All right, so again, you can pick through these and so on. Now, one of the other things too, if let's say you don't like the background here, so I can go to the, I can right click over here in preferences, because let's say it's a little too gray. I want it to be black. I'll just double click on this here, click that, hit OK, and now my background's black. I like a black background. Okay, so again, just some kind of basic stuff that you can kind of work with. And again, you can show reference assemblies, unreferenced assemblies, violated assemblies, and all that good stuff. All right. Now, the corridor option is quite possibly the best option ever. It really is. This here is just fantastic. So I want to actually, for those of you that have done corridor modeling, what's the key thing that you do, right? To edit a corridor, you kind of zoom in here, and to see it in cross-section view, what you would do is you would select it at the station you want to look at. Oops, I got more than one thing selected. We'll just go ahead and select it here, and then go to the section editor. And then that opens up in, oops, my viewport configuration's all messed up. Let's fix that here real quick. So let's go here, and we'll just do 2 horizontal, and we'll do plan and section. All right, so this is kind of a normal view that you would have to deal with, and you would zoom in here, and then you would click the next button and see how it's not too bad. This model is pretty straightforward, and I can zoom out here, and I can see my EG and all that good stuff, whatever I want to see, that kind of stuff. So it's not horrible, but when you get a pretty involved corridor model, it can chug, depending on your machine, okay? So this is the thing I love about this is the best thing ever, I think, because I do a lot of corridor modeling with roads and intersections and stuff like that. So first off, I'm gonna go ahead and put on my EG. So I'll just click on EG. That brings this up here. All right, I can zoom around, pan. Let me set my background here to black. I don't like that gray that it actually does by default. All right. Okay, so I've got that shown here, okay? Now, here's a really great thing. So to navigate your model very quickly in Section Editor, it's not easy. It just isn't. It takes a while to do. You have to constantly click that next button. Right here, I'm gonna actually click once and keep focus in here. Using the down arrows on the keyboard, you can see how fast this is. This section viewer is fantastic. It is such a nice, easy way, and you can see I'm really going fast. Just seeing my model automatically do that is just fantastic. I absolutely love this feature, especially when you're doing corridor modeling. You can just quickly and easily see what's going on, how things are going, and I can basically just, very quickly, easy see it that way. I love that feature, okay? Now, if let's say I want to see what station I'm at in the drawing, again, don't forget the control key. If you click the control key on the keyboard, it shows it to you. Now, if you want to zoom to it, right click, again, when in doubt, right click, zoom to station change. And now I'm right centered across that view. Again, tapping the control key down here. It's just really fantastic. Again, depending on where you are, if I control key this, notice how it highlights the entire corridor model. Again, you see how fast that is. This is a pretty long project. It's not that short. I did that on purpose. It really interacts very nicely. Now, I shouldn't say it never crashes because it'll probably crash if I say that, but I'm going to say it never crashes. I have never had it crash when interacting. I really haven't. And I've been using it for the past, I think 4 weeks now that it's been introduced. So it's a really fantastic functionality, okay? Again, you can basically just kind of scroll through here very easily and click over here, and now you can kind of see exactly where you are in the station, okay? And again, you can zoom out here, and you can change what you want to compare this to. If you have, let's say, a pond, I've got a pond surface. So if I go to a station, that's actually where the pond is. I forget what station. I think it's like 670 or something like that. I'll just go here. There's my pond surface, right? So I can actually see the pond surface, and it just really interacts very nicely with, you can kind of see it right there, right? It's automatically showing you my pond and my pond bottom, right? So it ties right in. It looks nice. Again, it's a really fast functionality. I love the right-click zoom to, and then if you need to model or change the model, the one thing I would love if you could do a section edit here, but I could see that getting complicated. So yes, what you would then do if, let's say, you need to change your model or something's wrong, you right click here, zoom to that area, and then you would select here and then go to section editor and then change. Let's say you want to do an override. Let's say I need to change this slope to like a 2:1. I would go in and change that to a 2:1, etc. You get the idea, right? So basically that's kind of how you would interact with it. Again, you can't do it here, but I could see why that might be a little bit, that's a lot of programming that have to be done maybe in the future. The one thing I do wish it did have, I'll be honest with you here, is what I like about section editor, you can set your section editor, if I go over here real quickly, and I don't like the grids on, so I'm gonna go ahead and set those off. Where are we here? Grids, we'll set that to no. I don't need those. But what I do like is if I change this to a good code set style, like this one here, I can actually see all my labels. I love that. I love if I'm in super, I can see if the super's working. I love that I can see my elevations in my ditch to make sure the water's flowing properly. That's not there yet. That would be nice, and I think I'm gonna definitely add that to the idea station because that's actually something I really, really want. I just want a code set style that I can apply here. Now, will that affect displaying and how fast this is? It might, and they may say no. But I would love to have that on there because then I can quickly and easily see if things are draining very nicely and my corridor's working the way it's supposed to work, okay? So I could definitely see that being a need that I'd want in there, okay? All right, so that's the corridor model. Again, it's a really nice kind of functionality in there. Let me go ahead and just close this out here so we're back to our normal view. All right, one of the other things too, let's keep going along here. I don't have any points, so I'm not gonna really kind of show that, but if I did, again, the biggest nice interaction is I can compare this to anything. So if I have some like proposed points in my drawing, I can actually compare this. Again, it's not letting me because I don't have any points, but I could compare it to my alignment and I would see the actual station offset to that point, right? Or I could see the elevation, or I could zoom to it, or select a set of points and then report on them. We're going to talk about reporting last here, and you'll see how awesome that is, okay? Because it creates a dynamic AutoCAD table. Surfaces, I don't use this one too much, I'll be honest with you, but what is kind of nice about it is if I can kind of quickly, see if I have any kind of blown elevations or anything like that. This is completely sortable. You can see here I've got a whole mess of points, and it just sorted that thing pretty quickly, all right? I'm not going to test it and do like my entire corridor surface, but you can see I can see if I have any blown elevations. So if I was checking EG, I could do that. You can also, I'm going to do a shift select here, and I can tap the control key, right? You see how that interacts? It's kind of nice. I mean, again, you don't really know where you are, but you can right click and zoom to triangles, and then now I'm kind of, you can see those triangles interacting here, right? So again, you can kind of see what it's doing. Those are the actual triangles there. So again, it's a kind of nice feature. Do I use it? Honestly, not that much. But if you need to report on a surface, then that's where it does come into play rather nicely. You can report on a lot of the features of a surface, okay? feature lines. Let's talk about feature lines. I absolutely love this functionality of with Project Explorer. Again, if you're familiar with using feature lines, you do realize that if you select a feature line, you get a whole bunch of nice tools up here that interact with you know, Civil 3D, that you can, of course, go over here like quick elevation edit or set grade slope between points. So yes, they are there. But what's also really nice about this is that you can compare this. That's what I love about this functionality. If I go to the, let's say my top surface, I can actually see what's going on here. Okay, as you can see, this point here happens to be on the surface. That's fine, but this point isn't. So I can then make a design decision of some sort where I'm doing something or other. Maybe I want it to be up there, so I can then insert an elevation point. So let's say I wanted to do that. I would go here. I would insert a PI. I'll go ahead and just grab the apparent intersection. This sometimes works. There we go. We'll grab that, and I'll just grab the surface in this case, and we'll pick my top surface here. Hit OK. That's the elevation. Press escape, and you get the idea. And now it should have got top. That's kind of odd. Let's that's what 140 point something or other. And oh, it did. It's over here. That's what's going on. Yeah, so that's a different elevation over there. But anyway, you get the idea. So that's just using that. But what's great about interacting with it here, let me actually delete that PI. I don't need to use that here. Let's go ahead and pick that, and I'll just delete that. Is that as you're interacting with this here, you know, I can basically click over here, and if I tap, that's where I'm at. Actually, that's where I was in the wrong point. So actually, that's the point that needs to be on EG. So it's on that surface there. So I'll go ahead and pop this up here. So, you know, within here, I'll just go ahead and pick the quick elevation edit here, and we'll grab this, and we'll grab my surface, and top is good. All right, and now I'm back to that one there, okay? All right, so, but where this is actually really nice is that if I want to see how this interacts or shows with other surfaces, I can do so. So if I want to actually do something with this, let's say this feature line here, I can do so by simply seeing other surfaces and how it falls along that surface. That's the beauty of this functionality. It's really quick. Whereas if I wanted to do this, you know, myself, I'd have to kind of rotate the view. I'd have maybe create an alignment and profile or display it somewhere, and that's not very easy to interact with it. Okay, again, as you're going through this, I'm just pressing the control key. So let's say now I want to modify these 2 points. I want to create some sort of little pond or whatever, and I want to have a weir that comes in. So I'm going to go and select these two. Actually, I'll pick this point here, and we'll go to this one, and we'll go right here. So let's say I want this to go up at a certain percent, at a certain grade. So again, when in doubt, right click. So if you right click here, I can set construct grade between feature line points. Hold the start, hold the end. I can do hold start and end. There's all kinds of really nice options that you can do here. You can set a constant elevation. Let's say I want this to be a constant elevation of, let's say, I don't know, 140 or 142. I can do that here as well. So let's say I want to do that. I'll just go ahead and pick on set constant grade, elevation between points, and we'll make this 142. I'll click OK. Done, right? You see how fast, but it's nice to see it as it compares to your existing ground or whatever it is. This could be a proposed ground that you're designing it compared to, whatever, okay? So let's say I want to do a set grade between these two here. Let's say I've got this little weir that I've kind of created. I want that to go down to 4:1. So I'm going to right click here, set constant grade between featured line points, hold the start, and I want to go down at a -25, and I'll click OK here. And now I've gotten down at 4:1, okay? And again, I just middle click here. Don't forget that. That middle click is really useful. It gives it back focus. So I can just kind of, you know, press the control key, make sure I'm getting the right ones. Now, between here and here, I want that to be flat. So I'll right click here, set grade between slopes, and I'll set this to 0. We'll just hit OK. Now I've got a flat slope. Now, from here to here, I want this to be at +25. So I'll right click here, set grade, hold start elevation. We'll do +25. Hit OK, right? Yes, I know you guys we all have the set grade slope between points. We do, but this is so much faster. And what's nice is it just has this one interface where we can compare it to, you know, different object types or whatever. So from here, let's make sure I'm getting the right one. To here, basically, I want that to be that flat slope, and we'll just do set constant elevation. I think I did 142, so we'll just hit 142, hit OK, and now I've got that done, and now I can see that, okay, I might have a problem here. I got to raise it a little bit more. You get the idea. That's the beauty of all this kind of functionality, is that it just interacts with different parts of Civil 3D objects. It's just really fantastic, okay? And again, just so you guys know, I forgot to kind of remind you guys, if you have any questions during this, please, type in the chat panel. We'll get to the questions afterwards, okay? So that's feature lines. Again, this is probably one of the best interactions with the drawing / other object types. I absolutely love this, especially when you're doing proposed design. It's just a really fantastic function now. You can really see exactly how things are looking, okay? I don't have any parcels, but again, you can do some interaction with parcels there and get some reporting. All right, so the next feature here I want to show you is pipe networks. This is just really the best. There are so many tools that have been added here, well, not added, but are provided that we did not have before. All right, so I've already have an existing pipe network here. Again, to see it, if I just click over here and press the control key, you can see it highlighting in the drawing. If I want to see a specific structure, see where this starts, if I just press, you can kind of see it over here. I'll zoom in a little bit. All right, if I hover here, it's highlighting in the drawing, right? That's a really nice function. I absolutely love that functionality. All right, so if I want to see what like a pipe run looks like, so you kind of go from the top down, okay? So right over here, a lot of people kind of miss this, but this is one of the most powerful functionalities of this Project Explorer. So if I wanted to edit a specific pipe run, right? So from here, from this manhole here to this manhole here, and of course, yes, these would be curb gutter inlets normally. I just kind of put them in there just so I can get this to kind of look nice here. I want this to be, here's my low. Of course, I'm going to have drainage going down here and drainage going down here, right? Civil 3D, of course, just puts this thing in there automatically. But now what I want to do is I want to actually kind of select from that specific one to here. Let's make sure I get the right ones. If I press the control key, you can see in the drawing, I got the right object types, right? Now I want to make sure this goes down. I've got this existing elevation here, that's fine, but I want to go down a specific grade, let's say, okay? Here's a really cool thing, this edit pipe run. Now, here's what's great. You can pick the structures to work with. I can say, hey, I want to start with S1 and I want to go to S4. So if you look, I'm only seeing S1 to S4. I absolutely love this functionality. I want to go to S3. I'm only seeing S3, right? It's really dynamic. It's really quick. And again, I hope this is my famous last words. It doesn't crash. It's really stable, all right? So what I can do is, of course, I can compare this to other surfaces. If I want to see EG, I can do FG, I can do my top. You can kind of see what's going on. It actually shows you EG or FG on there because that's kind of, it has a reference surface. I've already assigned that to my structures and my pipe network, right? So here's where it gets really powerful, okay? Now there are some little bugs, in my opinion, with it, but I'm going to show you how to fix them. All right. So if you look here, I can click on Edit Pipe Run, and you have this really fantastic functionality. This is really useful for, obviously, if you're doing sewer and you want to make sure you're going down at a point, let's say 0.04 minimum percent or 0.4%, whatever that is. You can do all kinds of stuff. I can basically hold a pipe run with just elevation changes. I can do it holding the start, holding the end, etc. This is my beginning. I notice a little bit of not a bug, but just one thing you want to make sure you do, set your start elevation to at least something that makes sense, all right? Whatever the pipe cover you need, the minimum pipe cover you need. Again, the rules should work for you, but you want to just check that, make sure it works that way, because everything that you do here is based upon usually the beginning, all right? Now, one of the other things you might think you would do here, let's say I want to go down at -1%. It's actually the opposite of what you think. It's actually not -1. I made a mistake of doing that, and all my pipes went up in the air. It's actually just a percent run, okay? So let's say I want this to go down at an even, let's say 2%. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to go, just to do this here. I'll just say I'll say 2%, okay? And it shows you what your end elevation is going to be. Now, of course, if you're the engineer or designer doing your job, you should know if that's allowable. Will that allow me enough cover at this point here? I should be able to, check it first to see, hey, the top of my structure is 115 or 120. So that's fine. I got 7 feet of cover. That's a little too much, but you get the idea. Just check that to make sure that that's going to work. If not, it's going to it'll do it, but obviously it's not going to be correct. So I'll just hit OK here. And you'll notice it immediately just does it. And that's the kind of the nice thing here, okay? Now, as I can see, that's actually not going to work because I have a pretty steep profile here. So I'll go ahead and change that. I do want to, I'll just change it here. We'll go back to the edit pipe run. And let's say we want to go down to, let's say 5%. We'll just hit OK here. Okay, that's a little too much, but I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it be, but because I want to show you the bug. The bug is this. You can kind of see what's happening, right? See how it does it, which is really nice. You know, you don't have that functionality in regular Civil 3D. But of course, if I then, you might think, well, it's probably fine, right, Seth? It didn't really do that. But if I go over here and right click and we'll select it, and we'll take that into the object viewer, you'll see here, of course, it actually, it actually did. It messed it up, right? It didn't fix it. Now, this is a bug. I have reported this to Autodesk. I assume they'll fix it. They better. But here's the fix for it. You can still use this functionality. The cool thing, I did S1 to S4. Let's just verify that. That's true. I'm going to right-click, select those objects. Okay. Now, for those of you not familiar with hot gripping is a way, if you hold the Shift key down, you can select multiple grips. This is not a Civil 3D functionality. This is AutoCAD. So this is just AutoCAD functionality that I'm doing here, not Civil 3D. And what I do is I will just hot grip these, okay? And I'm going to click on the grip there, and I'm going to type 0, 0. Press enter. It automatically fixes the culverts. So you're fine. It's not a huge deal. It will actually kind of just, just fix them for you. And so that way it can do it. Now, again, is it a bug? Yes. Should they fix it? Yes, they should, and they will. All right. So again, just kind of continue this along here. If I go from S4 to S6, because 7 and 8, if you look at 7 and 8, I'll just pick them here. That's my outfall structure over here, right? That's going from there to there. So S7 is that, and S8 is that one there. So I only need to do S4 to S6, right? And again, I'll just kind of, right? You can kind of see those three. So those, I do want to actually go negative. Again, it's weird how it does it, but it's just the way that it is, okay? So I'll click on Edit Pipe Run here. I'm going to hold the end, and I will say a -1% and click OK here. And we could probably go a little more maybe. Again, not a big deal. Kind of look around and see what you want to do there. And I'll just do -2, click OK. Let's see if we call that good. Again, I would do the same thing here. I'm just middle clicking again to get that focus. Select, and I'll hold the Shift key down, and hold the Shift key, and hold the Shift key. And again, pick any one of those. Doesn't matter where you move it, and just type 0, 0, press enter, and your pipes will then update. And again, if you want to kind of see it over here, I will just pick on from here, from 4 to 6, and you can see exactly what's going on. Again, that's down there because of the other one connecting to S4, right? So it has to do that. All right, so again, you get the idea. That's just a really kind of, it's just fantastic functionality. I really love that part of it, okay? Again, the thing I'll mention this, it doesn't, if you have like non-connected parts, like let's say you're doing a roadway job and you don't have, let's say just a rural project where you have some cross drains, maybe you have some DBIs going to a pond, whatever, it doesn't work. I'll just tell you that right now. You'll get a little error message in this view that says it can't do it. I contacted Autodesk support and said, hey, I understand why it's not working, but I would like to have the functionality, because I had like 3 or 4 where I had them connected, and it still wasn't doing it because it wants to do the whole thing. So basically, they're going to look at that, and it may or may not work. It's not a huge deal because I don't have that big of a drainage network as I have here. Okay. All right, so sample lines, I don't have any sample lines, but it does the same kind of thing. It'll show you your section views and so on and so forth. Again, the Corridor model does that kind of stuff for you as well. All right, then we have this section here called blocks, which is actually kind of nice, and you can leverage this functionality really nicely here. So if you have manholes or whatever, and they're blocks or just AutoCAD objects, that's all this is here, you can actually count them up. Now I'm going to show you this next functionality, which I absolutely love. It's called object sets. I already have one created, and I want to show you what it does. So if you look over here, actually, I forgot to show you one. I'm going to show you this to you in a second. The one major, really cool thing about pipe networks with Project Explorer. So first off, you'll notice here, I've got these AutoCAD tables. This is not Civil 3D tables. For those of you who have tried to use Civil 3D tables as it relates to Civil 3D objects, you know that they kind of stink. End of story, they stink. So this is, I think, Autodesk, one of the reasons they purchased the license rights to it is this. They're going to use, you don't need it anymore. They're going to update the Civil 3D tables. You're going to use AutoCAD tables with object sets. All right, that's the other really cool part of this here. So first, I'll just show you a completed one, and the really cool functionality. I'll just show you the whiz bang type stuff here. Is anything that you do with your pipe network or any AutoCAD object or any Civil 3D object in one of these dynamic tables, again, it's just an AutoCAD table though. It's nothing special, but it is linked, okay? It's linked to this Project Explorer dialog box, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. So basically, the great thing about the pipe networks now, with this functionality, so if I pick on pipes here, let's say you made a mistake, you need to change all of these, just those, to 18-inch pipes. So in Civil 3D, you have to do it individually. There was no global way to do it. But guess what? Right-click, swap parts. Scroll up, pick 18-inch, keep your eye on the table right here, hit OK. Notice how it changed the table automatically, and the pipes have changed automatically as well. I should be hearing a lot of oohs and ahs, but I know you're all muted, so it's fine. I forgive you. So basically, that's the really, I love, this is like the best thing ever now. Now, these tables, completely customizable, and you can export what you want to display so that everyone in your company can basically use a specific kind of set of columns that you want, okay? And so I'm gonna show you that right now. So basically what I have here is I've just, for the heck of it, I put some trees, okay? Now, these trees actually have elevations. They're actually draped to my finished ground. Now, if you want to know how I did that, I like to show this functionality. It's not a huge deal. You may or may not use it, but I do like to show it to you. There's an option when you pick your surface here. If you click on this surface tools, move to surface, move blocks to surface. I'm going to click on the trees that I have, these two trees. I'll click OK. And every one of those trees now is on my surface. So if I go ahead and I'll select one of each of these, right click, select similar, and I'll pick my surface, which I already have selected, I think, and we'll click object viewer. And now if you look in 3D, these objects are actually on the surface. They actually have elevations, okay? So what I'm showing you is, yeah, this is kind of cool. And yes, if I change it to realistic, I believe it will actually show the color of the trees, oohs and ahs. Okay, maybe I didn't give the right color. You get the idea, all right? But what I'm trying to show you is basically if you have any Civil 3D objects and you want to basically project them to a surface and then report on that, like let's say something in the road, like lamps or lampposts or something like that, you can do that. And you can then report on them and give it the elevations that you want, and you can give that in a table. Okay, so that's the other really cool part of that. And again, that's just Civil 3D that I'm showing you. But with these blocks here, if I go to the blocks tab, here's what you do, all right? I'm gonna right click on what I want to add. Again, it's block separated. So you wanna obviously separate them per whatever you wanna create tables for. I'm gonna create two tables. I wanna create a tree table and I wanna create a count table. So I'm gonna right click on my junipers, and what you do is you add the blocks to the object set. Now, if I wanted to add them to an existing set, you could. I'm gonna create a brand new one. I'm going to call this one trees. All right. Now, the way this works is you could create an object set, and how do you want to output it? I want to output it to an AutoCAD table. So if you click over here, AutoCAD table to model space. Do you want it to be dynamic? Who wouldn't? Of course I want it to be dynamic. Now, I want to define exactly what those columns should be. Here's where you go and edit a style. And it's kind of confusing at first, but it's categorized. If you look at each of the different things here, these are the categories that you can pick from, right? The same exact ones that are up here in the Project Explorer. So I'm going to go ahead and go to blocks. So right here, by default, it shows everything pretty much. I don't want everything. All I want is a name, a count, and I want to do the northing and easting. So I'm going to toggle everything off first. I want to do the block name and do the count. Now, do I want it to be called block name, that's the column label? No, that's stupid. So I'm going to click over here. You can customize this, tree type. And there's my count. I want to leave that as is. Now, this is a little confusing too. You might think you're done, but this is basically for AutoCAD blocks. This is for the column label for when you have a table just for AutoCAD blocks. This is for block references. If you just want block references, you can just do that. That's fine. It doesn't matter. But this will be for a total, and this will be for the actual count of them. All right. So again, notice how it does a whole mess of properties. I don't want that. I toggle all these off. I want the tree type. I'll change that in a second. I want northing, and I want easting. Okay. We'll get elevation later because I want to show you how you can change this afterwards, and all is good. Now, I want the order to be northing, easting, not easting, northing. That's how things are done. Again, look over here, move up. Do I want block reference? No, it should be called tree type. All right, I just click once in there. Now, I want to save this for everyone at the company to make sure we're all doing the same standards. I'll click save, and I want this to be called trees. and we'll save that. Hit OK. Now it's using that. What kind of table style do I want? Well, I could just do a default one, but I want to customize this. So I'm going to click on the Edit Style button here, and I want all my margins and everything else to be just one. So I'm going to do 1, 1, 1, 1. I do not want background colors like you saw with that other table. I don't care. I do want the borders. I want to use the F. font because that's the font that we use at this company. And I will click Save. And now I can click, I've already done it here. So I'll just click tree styles, tree table style. Again, this will be at your server. And then of course, as you would imagine, you simply open it and you load it. So now I've got that. I'll click, oh, now I made the mistake of this like 10 times before I realized to do this, so I'm not gonna do it again. You click OK and it just puts the table in the drawing, but guess what? Where does it put it? A lot of people don't notice this. Right over here is the pick insertion point. So I'm gonna click here and I'm gonna, what I do, this is in model space. I make a location called tables, you can see right here, and I put that right there. Click OK. And it tells you that this was added to the drawing, all right? And as you can see, I've got a count. Actually, I would customize that. Actually, no, it's right here, juniper tree, 19. I could make these underline, whatever. You know, here's my northing, here's my easting, etc. Again, this is a dynamic table linked to the objects in the drawing, okay? Now, let's say I want to add my deciduous trees to that. I already have an object set. So now, I'll right-click here, add it to object set, and I will pick on trees. It's already there. Click OK. And what happened? It automatically added it right there. Tell me that's not awesome. Now, here's the other cool thing. So I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to move my projects for my other monitor, just so you know, so it's going to go away. And it's not away. It's open, but it's just up there. I'm going to actually go ahead and do 2 vertical. Here's the really cool part of this, of course. What if I add trees to the drawing, right? So I'll just go over here and yes, I'm gonna go ahead and just do a global kind of copy of all these trees here. And boom, table updates automatically. Everyone should be really oohing and ahhing right now because that's amazing. That's an AutoCAD table. All right, that we did not have functionality before. Now we do. Okay. Now here's the one thing that I do wish I haven't found yet, kind of how to organize this table. So I think what you do, I might email Autodesk just to kind of get they might have a better way, a way of doing this. But basically, what you do is once you're kind of done and you're ready to plot, what you do is you simply select your table, and all you have to do is just, you know, this is an AutoCAD table. I can just go over here and make it whatever, you know, columns I want. And if I wanted to, I could go to my properties palette here and I would just say repeat top labels and we'd say yes. And now I've got my table ready to kind of plot. Now, the one thing I'll point out, and this is the downside, so I think there's got to be a better way. Maybe there isn't, I don't know yet. I'm gonna definitely go check and we'll let you guys know. Is basically now if I delete those, it does, or change anything in the drawing, it does actually update here. Now, one thing to mention, if you don't have Project Explorer open and you make changes to your objects, it doesn't update the table. You just have to open up Project Explorer and then it'll update automatically, okay? Now, here's the other thing I wanted to just show you before we end here, because I want to give enough time for questions, okay? So I got the northing, the easting, and the type. I want to add the elevation to this. So what I can do is I'll go to my object list kind of category here. I'll pick on trees. I'm going to right click and go to object set properties. So here's where we defined what we wanted to display. So I'll go back to the blocks here. And here I want to go to the block references. I'll pick on elevation. We'll just add it. Click OK. Yes to save the style. Click OK. And boom, it is done. It's that simple. It's such an easy interface and such an easy way to do this. This is really useful. And again, you know, with pipe runs now, you finally have, you can see here, I customize this. I love this. I now have the ability to make a really good table where everything, I can show everything. I can show the structure name, the northing, easting, room elevation, connected pipes. Then I can do the pipe run here. You notice how I've got the pipe name, the inner width, start invert, end invert, the slope, starting northing, easting, elevation, etc. You get the idea. It's awesome. It's really fantastic functionality. Okay. All right, and that is the presentation. So let me put back to PowerPoint. So again, let me flip that around here. Let's swap that. All right. Does anybody have any questions?
All right, thank you, Seth. All right, so we do have a couple questions that did come in here.
Okay.
The first one is, how does Project Explorer interact with data shortcuts? Do all of the Civil 3D objects need to be in a single drawing?
Nope.
Counter to
Yeah.
best practices?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I know exactly. So basically, if it's in the drawing as a data reference, it does not matter. It will recognize it right there. So that's a good question. I tested out the first time I used it because I wanted to make sure it like, does it have to actually live there? No. It's basically, as long as there's an instance of the Civil 3D object in there, it's in there. But of course, you will not be able to edit the object if it's from a data shortcut, right? If it's from a data reference. So that's, but it will at least show it to you in a drawing.
All right, perfect. And another question we have here, can you see UDPs on the object and add them to custom tables?
UDP. What is
Yeah.
UDP? I'm trying to think of what UDP is. I should know that probably. Upper, if they can just type in the chat panel, what is UDP? Yeah, define UDP. I'm probably gonna feel like an idiot once they explain it to me.
Tatiana, would you be able to send that over in the chat box? All right, well, what we can do is we can get back to her on that if we can see that. But I think that's, give me a moment.
Yeah.
I see it coming in here. Okay, there's another question as well. All right.
Okay.
Does the table option of the PE read user-defined properties for Civil 3D elements?
Oh, that's a darn good question. I like that question. I don't know. So let's see. I don't think it does. I'm going to say that right now because actually, I guess we could check out real quickly. If I do let's just make a parcel real quick. And let's go over here and home parcel, create that. And we'll put that in a new site just so I don't mess something up. And hit OK. And OK. All right, I got a parcel. And if we go to that properties, it's been a while since I've done parcel. Where are those? There we go. So let me just see if that does it. So if we go over here, where's parcels? Right there. And let's add that to our object, to a new object set. And we'll call this parcel. And we'll just do a table. Oh, one thing I forgot to tell everybody, just so you guys know, you can export reports. I skipped over that real quick because I was so excited about AutoCAD tables, but basically you can do any kind of report. So HTML, XLS, etc. Let's go over here and let's see what we got. So if we go to property sets, nope, that's not what we want. And if we go to parcel segments, no, I do not see a way to pick it. That's definitely a good request to have. I agree with that 100%. So no, but I would definitely add that because I would expect to see a pull down here of some sort to pick those classifications.
All right, and we did get UDP, user-defined properties. So can you see user-defined properties on the object and add them to custom tables?
So as it relates to, I'm going to say no, yeah, because I just seeing it right there, I didn't see there are no options to actually getting the ability to kind of pick that to pick that drop down. That would be good too, though. Yeah, for sure. I would definitely recommend kind of going to the idea station. I forgot where the link is. You can just type in Autodesk Project Explorer Idea Station, you'll find it, and you definitely would recommend adding those for sure.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much, Seth, for your time. And if anybody does have any other questions or follow-up that they'd like answered, definitely give us a call at 305-445-6480 or shoot us an email at info@ddscad.com. And be on the lookout in the next probably day or two for an email with the link to this video. Okay. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.